Hi, my name is Ilya Smith, and these are the two books I did on happiness. The books I chose. The first book I chose was Happiness, a History by Darren M. McMahon. It basically, a summary is traces how Western ideas of happiness have evolved from antiquity to the modern age, revealing that our contemporary belief in the pursuit of happiness is a relatively recent and often problematic cultural invention. The second book I chose was Happiness, The Art of Living with Peace, Confidence, and Joy by Douglas A. Smith. It teaches that happiness is a learnable set of skills rooted in making peace with the past, approaching the future with confidence, and living the present with mindful joy. What I'll be discussing about each book. In this presentation, I will discuss the genre, the definition of happiness, the approaches to happiness, the tone and style, the intended audience, the philosophy, and why you should read it. Let's start with Happiness, a History by Darren M. McMahon. For genre, his book is a sweeping intellectual history. It tracks how the idea of happiness has evolved over thousands of years in Western thought. It's not a self-help book. It's more about ideas, culture, and how the concept of happiness has been shaped by philosophers, theologians, artists, and thinkers. Their definitions of happiness. It explores how definitions of happiness have changed. From ancient Greeks, it was tied to virtue and the good life. In Roman times, happiness had associations with prosperity and divine favor. For Christians, happiness often meant spiritual fulfillment or union with God. It argues that only in the modern, especially post-Enlightenment era, did happiness become something like a right or obligation, not just a spiritual or philosophical ideal. It also points out a paradox. Our modern pursuit of happiness can create new suffering because high expectations make disappointment more painful. Its approaches to happiness. It's analytical historic. He studies texts, art, theology, literature, and philosophy. It doesn't provide a how-to for being happy. Instead, he gives context, why we think about happiness the way we do, and how that shapes our expectations. It treats happiness almost as a cultural construct, deeply influenced by political, religious, and intellectual movements. The tone and style. It's very scholarly but accessible. His writing is informed by deep research, but he presents big ideas in an engaging way. Reflective and historical. The tone is often contemplative, tracing long-term shifts in human thought. There's a big picture feel. It's about civilizations changing values and how our modern assumptions arose. The ideal audience. It's ideal for readers interested in philosophy, intellectual history, and the history of ideas or cultural studies. Suited to people who want to understand why we think about happiness the way we do and how that has evolved. It's less useful for a manual or personal transformation, though it might inspire some reflection. The philosophy warns that our modern concept of happiness has a right can backfire. When we assume we should be happy, any unhappiness feels like failure. Points out that the intellectual and political pursuit of happiness has led to utopian experiments and even social suffering. It suggests that happiness might be inherently elusive part of its power. Inherently elusive. Part of its power comes from its very ambiguity. Assumes ideas, institutions, and culture matter a lot. Happiness is deeply embedded in social and intellectual history. Implicitly argues that our modern view is not natural or inevitable. It arose through historical change. And it suggests that happiness is not just a personal matter, but a political and cultural one. Why you should read it. It helps you see that our modern expectations of happiness are historically unusual and often unrealistic. It reveals how religion, politics, and philosophy shaped what we believe happiness should be. It provides intellectual clarity. Understanding the history of the idea reduces pressure to meet an impossible modern standard of constant happiness. It's thought-provoking and perspective shifting, perfect for readers who want to understand themselves and society more deeply. Now let's break down Happiness, the Art of Living with Peace, Confidence, and Joy by Douglas A. Smith. Genre. Smith's book is part memoir, part practical guide. He uses his own life, especially a serious health crisis, to frame his learnings. It's explicitly designed to teach concrete skills for living happier life. Remembering the past peacefully, facing the future confidently, and embracing the present joy. Definitions of happiness. Defines happiness more practically, not as an abstract ideal, but as a lived state anchored in how we relate to our past, present, and future. Happiness is often framed as a skill, something that you can develop through practice. He emphasizes faith, optimism, flexibility, and openness, his FOFO acronym, as key attitudes for confidently facing the future. Approaches to happiness. It's very practical and personal. He recounts his own life story, career, illness, and relationships to illustrate his lessons. He identifies 13 skills that underlie 3 core dimensions of happiness: past, present, and future. His advice is actionable. There's an appendix that summarizes the skills so readers can practice them. Tone and style. It's very warm, intimate, and encouraging. He writes from personal experience with humility and humor. It's very practical and structured, organized around identifiable skills, tools, and life lessons. The audience. Great for readers looking for self-improvement, meaning, and practical advice. Useful for people going through life transitions, illness, career changes, or midlife crises, who want concrete ways to cultivate joy. It's good for anyone who believes happiness is something you can develop, not just something that happens to you. Philosophy. It acknowledges that the skills of happiness are not fully mastered. Even he is not particularly good at several of these skills. Does not promise a perfect, constant happiness, rather than steady growth through cultivating particular attitudes. He emphasizes love, relationships, and meaning over material gain. He doesn't suggest that happiness is simply about achieving external success. Assumes that individuals can change themselves. Happiness is a practical, learnable skill. He believes that reflecting on the past, preparing for the future, and living well in the present are interrelated and collectively foundational. Holds a somewhat optimistic, humanistic view. Growth, love, and resilience are central. Why you should really read it. It gives you practical tools, the 13 skills for building lasting happiness. It's grounded in the author's real struggles, making it authentic and relatable. It empowers you. You learn that happiness is not luck, but habit, attitude, and practice. It offers simple framework like the FOFO, faith, optimism, flexibility, and openness, to navigate stress, uncertainty, and fear with greater resilience. In conclusion, these 2 books complement each other beautifully. McMahon's Happiness: A History is for thinkers, those who want to understand where our ideas of happiness come from and how they have evolved over time. Smith's Happiness: Art of Living with Peace, Confidence, and Joy is for doers, those who want to apply concrete practices to cultivate peace, confidence, and joy in their daily lives. If you are seeking meaning, reflection, and perspective, McMahon's book is an ideal choice. If you are looking for practical, heartfelt guidance on how to be happier today, Smith's book may speak more directly to you. And for those open to both the intellectual and experiential, reading both provides a full, balanced exploration of happiness from ideal to practice. I hope this comparison helps you choose the path into the subject of happiness that is right for you. Here's my bibliography of the two books. Thank you.